MVB. Let's see. I wonder how long we can go before Toby slander come in tonight.
Should be no Toby slander tonight.
You always know somebody gonna get somebody some slander, even no matter how great somebody play. If people don't like somebody, they don't like you. Well, I guess we get this thing cranked. Let me make sure I got my sound down. Welcome to Big Game. And I just turned down the wrong device. Welcome to another episode of the Uncensored Philly Sports Podcast. You got Wayne and Tim, the reliable ones. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe if somebody mentions Seth Curry, Ephraim will appear.
Appear magically.
But it was a big win for the Sixers tonight. Both teams, the Sixers coming off a back-to-back. They just had a tough game. That was Boston we just played, right? You just had a tough game against Boston. Well, not even that tough. We kind of handled them, but we beat Boston. Flew down to Miami and played the Heat. The Heat coming off for the second. They on the second half of a back-to-back as well, but the Heat was at home and didn't have to travel. In the beginning of this game, it looked like the Sixers had no energy at all, and it looked like it was going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
But in the third quarter, it looked like it switched. It looked like the Sixers turned it up in the second half, and I think a lot of that has to do with Embiid. Tobias did a lot to help carry early on. Seth had a good night. Embiid struggled the first half, and the second half, once Embiid started cooking, the defense started picking up some. He was getting around, and then we dominated. And this is why Embiid is the best big man in the game.
Yeah. I don't doubt that at all. Embiid is the best big man in the league. But let me tell you, I mean, and let's keep everything in perspective. Sixers yesterday, they had a game against Boston. They was in there. They took showers. They had to do interviews. Get on the red eye. Take a flight all the way to Miami. Get in at 4:00 in the morning. Get some rest, and then play an 8:00 game tonight. So put all that in perspective. Of course, they're gonna feel like they come off a little rusty. They started the game off a little tired. Expected, and I think Embiid was definitely laboring. But that third quarter, but I'm telling you what I like about Doc. Doc gave the boy Isaiah Joe a shot, and he just can't step up to the plate for no reason. So that experiment for me is over. But he played the young boy Charlie Brown Jr. and Charlie Brown Jr. can't score a lick, but defensively he was disruptive towards to Miami Heat.
But he also brings energy. I was going to say something about him too. Yeah, he don't score on offense, but like there's a couple of times that he made this smart extra play. Like a couple of times he swung the ball to Seth and got Seth that extra shot. You know what I'm saying? He made smart plays. So I like the young boy. I like the energy that he brings. And we do got to give Minivan some props because Minivan was hitting some. He was
clutch
pockets. The Sixers played like a team. This looked like the team that started out season 8-2. This looks like the team that started out 8-2.
I agree.
Maxey was doing his thing. I listen, Kyle Lowry, Philly ball, loved him at Villanova, everything else. I hate his game. Him and Tucker is the most hackingest, whiningest dudes I ever seen.
No,
Lowry cries every play. Like not even like I swear he in the ref face every play. He's sitting there crying. Did you see when he almost ran up Maxey back, almost broke his neck?
Listen, ain't nobody worse. I still think Tyler Hero is the worst. He can't defend a lick. They allow him to get away with everything. The refs. Did you see that play when Embiid got the rebound? He was on the ground and he was swimming back and forth trying to get like a call. They didn't make no call today, and they let him take the ball. Then they gave Jimmy Butler the foul. I mean, B couldn't get. He was so frustrated. He couldn't get no calls. The refs wasn't calling nothing. We won despite not getting any calls. I mean, you could tell we was tired too because we was missing free throws left and right. We was missing.
I'm about to say, I'm not going to say you can't say we didn't get calls, but then say we missed free throws. Like we did get calls. Like early on, I don't think they was and when Embiid was attacking the big dude early on, I think Embiid was just missing. Like he went down there and he bodied him and he just was missing the finishes. Like I don't think he was fouling Embiid, but we do see that this is that Doc and they did make some adjustments later on, like in the tail end of the game. But this is the same thing Atlanta did to us, where they drive and they penetrate, and B has to step up and they throw that oop behind them. And their center was scoring all his points on the rebounds when Embiid stepped out
Oh my
and
God,
on the alley-oop.
he was killing us. The young Turk, that was he had 10 points in the first 5 minutes of the game. I mean, he
all off of backdoor oops and rebounds after Embiid had to step out to play defense.
My thing is, sometimes you got to let your man just let them play straight up man on man defense, one-on-one defense. You don't got to step up because that was killing us.
Only reason why I don't say that though, because there's a couple times it was Tyler Hero or something. You talking about shooters driving to the basket. If you start letting them see the ball go in the basket, sometimes it's mental. A lot of times it's mental with shooters. So I'd rather them deter those shooters from scoring like that.
But you saw what they was doing. They was doing alley-oops to their center, so they knew the double was coming.
You knew who was the first person that actually defended that? Was the boy Charlie Brown, like you said, in the second half, but he hacked. I mean, he hacked, but he came over. Like I'm looking, I'm like, where is everybody else? And they was putting PJ Tucker out on the wing, so Tobias had to step out there. Yeah. And I'm looking, and everybody else was too small to even try to contend to that. I thought for a minute, I thought he should have went with that big lineup that he tried at times with Drummond and Embiid. Yep.
I'm telling you, the boy Charlie Brown Jr. though, he was the difference maker. He was that spark that we needed to get everybody else rolling, and everybody else start rolling. Oh yeah, and my young boy Maxie struggled today. He was off. He definitely was off.
You got that 4-point play at the end.
that was the game was already over.
I know. but Maxie was.
You want me to give Toby his flowers? I'm gonna give Toby his flowers. This is the Tobias Harris we need, because when everybody was struggling, the only person that wasn't struggling was Tobias. Tobias kept us in the game. Because I mean, we got down, but Tobias was the one that was consistently scoring, because he was scoring fast. He wasn't holding on to the ball. He was laying the ball up or shooting a jump shot. He was scoring rapidly, and that's what you need to do against the Heat.
I think a lot of it was his confidence, though, because for real, a lot of those was the same shots he'd been shooting. His shots been short, like even his everything Tobias has been shooting has been short. He hit a couple, early he had like a couple threes like rimmed around and fell in and stuff. But then he started hitting on that little mid-range pull-up. He started playing a little bit, putting his shoulders in and then hitting that fadeaway. Those are the plays that we need him making.
I have nothing bad to say about Tobias tonight. Tonight, Toby showed up and he upped us. So when it was time to close out, then Niang was knocking down big shots. Seth started knocking down big shots, and then Embiid was knocking down big shots. So we needed Toby to pace us to when we got to that point. That's what he did.
Right. So, and listen, I got to give Seth some props too, because this what he needs to do. He needs to shoot the ball. Like he didn't wait till he was just completely wide open before he was shooting. Like some of them shots, he was like, it was a couple of them. Like he came down there, they passed it to him. I think it was it at the end of the. I know it was a couple of times they passed it to him, and as soon as he caught it, he squeezed, and it was like they was closing out and like right there on him, like it was no hesitation. He shoots at a high percentage. I need to see him put more shots up, even if that percentage takes a slight dip. I need to see Seth Curry not always looking to pump fake and run away from. Sometimes just put that dagger in people's eyes, like you see other people do. You see Tyler Hero, you saw Duncan Robinson. Yeah, they just was squeezing. Even if people running at him, they just squeezing.
Master of the craft, he said. Tim, any Embiid hate tonight? Just a little bit.
Oh, what? What part?
Besides him missing all those free throws that he was missing early on, still need to make quicker decisions. Make them faster, because the way they made the Miami play, they're going to send that double team hard. They're going to send it, and then they're going to send it where you're not able to make the pass that you want to make. So just keep the ball rotating. But besides that, that's like nitpicking. Besides that, he still, towards the end, he played well. The first half, he stunk it up.
I'm just saying, the only thing with that, like you saying about him swinging the ball, I actually think that they needed to take their time against Miami sometimes with swinging the ball. Look at how many times they called themselves swinging, and Miami was just jumping in the passing lanes and taking it the other way. That's how they got up on that lead like that, like them jumping out in them passing lanes. I thought when the Sixers was a little more deliberate with their movements and everything else, everything was a little bit more crisp. You know what I'm saying, like that. But everybody that say they want Embiid to go, I agree. I think Embiid is a dominant force inside. But that mid-range shot, if Embiid is hitting on that mid-range, nobody's stopping him. That's like a Dirk type mid-range shot. The way, like, remember how Dirk would just pull up and just shoot over people. Like when Embiid is cooking, he's hitting that that mid-range pull-up over centers, and it's nothing. Oh wait, I do gotta give B some props though.
For what?
You know how amazing that play when he Euro stepped with the ball on his back and got the and one that they called all late when the ball hit him in the head.
Oh, they act like they didn't want to give them that and one. I'm like,
yeah, they called it all late.
I'm like, it's 10 minutes later.
I was listening to the Miami broadcast. They were like, "Oh, that late whistle." I'm like, and
it
was
late. It was
so
late.
It was late. So, but the one dude was crying like, "Oh, you can't call that. That you can't." Then they did the replay, and he was like, "Well, he did kind of like smack him all inside the head." But that joint, man, listen, you know how difficult that is. A 7 foot, what he's 7'1", 280 something Euro stepping while somebody hanging on your back.
Yeah, they had to give him his props. But the boy Seth, he's a liability defensively. Defensively, like Joel always it's kind of like how he was with JJ. So it's like, so if he don't play, if Joel don't play, he's really going to be a liability for us on the defensive end. But for for that liability come, he made big plays down the stretch for like huge 3-point shots. And he didn't hesitate. Like early on, he started hesitating, shooting the shot.
Right.
But later on, he was just like knocking them down. Like I'm just going to shoot. And he shot, and they went in. So I was like, it's up and down with Seth. It's like you give and you get.
But I'm saying the one thing. Listen, let's keep it 100% a beam. Ain't nobody on this team doing nothing without Embiid. Offensive, defense, like. They have no shot at when this team mess around and be just right outside the lottery if Embiid's not on it.
And that's a problem because it shouldn't be that way. You should have, if Embiid goes down, you still should have a good team. Like when Ja Morant went down for them games, his team was still balling. If you're only good as your best player, I mean, obviously your best player makes you a lot better, but your team should be built so that you can sustain, that you should be at least a 500 ball club. At least minimum.
I get that. I agree. Well, that's why when you're paying Tobias the money that he's getting to be, I mean, even the way that he played tonight ain't for that type of money. That's you know what I'm saying. Like that's still underplaying for that type of money. But that being said, if he at least gives you this, you know what I'm saying, and Seth gives you like I think I'm sorry, I can't. Somebody was mentioning how with all the other ones, if we get that, if we get that from Seth and Toby, Steve Sank. I'm sorry if I mispronounced you, but like you said, if we can get that from Seth and Toby every night, I think we can manage enough from the bench where you can get enough from Niang and hopefully Shake when he comes back. Cork, I think you can get that kind of stuff. If you get this from Seth and Toby. And I think you'll get more than this from Maxey. The Sixers will be tough to beat against anybody when you got Embiid.
We'll be a tough out. But the problem is our bench is not that good. I mean, I'm looking at Miami box score. That bench scored 39 points for them. At one point, our bench only had 1 point until Niang started stroking it towards the end of the game, hitting big shots. But prior to them hitting those big shots, we had 1 point. Our bench finished with 15 points.
That was probably all he
gave. Yeah, and Niang had 12 of them.
How much did Cork? Because Cork is usually off your bench, but Cork was starting. So how much did Cork have? See, that's what I mean,
Cork has
that
6.
being said, I agree. Yeah,
we got our bench is weak, and I don't want to be negative because we still won the game on the road, and usually the bench players struggle on the road. So I want to take that into consideration, but at the same time, you can't win in the NBA with your bench only giving you 15 points a game. That's putting all the onus on the starters.
I kind of agree, but when you get in the playoffs, like how much do you really get from the bench?
Tyler Hero was averaging 20 points off the bench for them. And then the boy from Utah is averaging 18 points. So I mean, you do need production off the bench, and we don't have. That's something we're gonna struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, there's some kind of moves to be made somewhere to bring something in off of that bench. But I mean, but as for tonight, though, Embiid, like I said, Embiid is the best big man in the league.
I agree.
dominating on both sides of the ball.
This was a good win all already. That's what I say. Without nitpicking them, oh y'all, can you hit that like button too? Hit that like button and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. But it's a good win. I mean, we went on a roll. This was a roll win, traveling in the middle of the night, and they handled business. And
hey, listen, everybody talking about trading Toby, I'm still down. I hope he keeps balling like this. And if we still come up with a better trade to bring I'm still with it. The better he balls, the better the trade value. I mean, because that being said, I've not seen Toby ball out in the playoffs. So that being said, if Toby can ball and get that trade value up, I'm down to trading still. If we're bringing, my whole thing with any trade that we do, it has to be making my team better. Like I don't want to just trade somebody to make a lateral movement. You know what I'm saying? I want somebody that's a better fit for the team that's constituted now, or just a better player altogether.
First of all, I'm not gonna be happy until Embiid breaks Wilt record. I told you Embiid played well down the stretch. I'm just saying he struggled with the free throws, but that's nitpicking. I'm gonna let him breathe. I'll let him. Did you hear the Eagles chant at the game? They started singing "Fly Eagles Fly." That they had the Eagles chant going on there in Miami.
It probably was a nice amount of people. Some people probably was going down to that Tampa game.
Oh yeah, I went as far as Tampa, Miami. I think that's about 3 hours. I mean,
it's a couple hours, but I'm saying if you doing a road trip, you know what I'm saying, if you going down there, you know what I'm saying?
That's something I would have actually did that Saturday night. That'd be perfect.
Wait, hold up. You go to Miami for a couple nights and then go over to Tampa because you don't want to go hang out in Tampa. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually a good trip. I ain't think about that. Especially if your team is playing. You go there Friday. You fly into Miami Friday. You kick it in there Friday night. You get yourself a rental car. Then you go to the game tonight, and then you travel Sunday morning to Tampa for the game, and then come back to Miami. That's a good trip.
But you don't necessarily got to fly. It depends. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how you're getting around, you might just go ahead and set your flight to fly out from there.
Oh, that's true too.
I mean, you done. It's all kind of options. Listen, you talking to somebody that went to Disney, Universal, Cocoa Beach, and then went on a cruise all in the same 2-week span while I was down there.
If I had enough time to plan, that would have been a good trip.
It would have been. It had to been a great trip.
If I knew the Eagles was playing Tampa.
You wouldn't have known that. Yeah, you wouldn't have known that too.
Yeah, until last week.
Yo, yeah, hey Herb, I saw the woman in the gold dress too. You know what? And I might be wrong for thinking that, because I was like, maybe the dude, the center dude, maybe that was his people. You know what I'm saying? Because that kind of looked like some Middle Eastern Taj Mahal type dress that she had on. That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe that's his John, his girl, or his mom or sister or something.
The gold
those
dress.
Turkish dudes. Did you see it?
Yeah, with she had a gold hair piece.
He had to be one of them Turkish boys people.
Yeah,
had to be.
That was funny though.
Yeah, Eagles beat. I mean, Sixers played. Boston won Friday. Played Miami won tonight. Eagles can finalize this weekend if they pull that upset off. This will be a great Philadelphia sports weekend.
I agree. So today marks the first game of the second half of the season. So, like, how would you rate how we did the first half? Like this is I guess the first half of the season is over. What grade would you give them?
I would say I probably would go with like a B minus, because I really do think that even though everybody ended up facing some COVID stuff, but when Embiid went out with COVID, not even the other guys, when Embiid went out with COVID, it's crazy how drastic the team was. I mean, we started out 8-2. Then it was like they were showing their record, like on the Miami broadcast. They were showing, I think it was something like that went 8-2, and then it was like went 3-9, then we went 4-1, then we went 1-4, and now we on this run that we on now. So it's been up and down, but I think that a lot of that up and down and shakiness is just because our roster. I don't think that we have the depth that other teams have, so I think that missing key players for that long a period of time really will do the Sixers in, and it did. So now they got to fight to get back up there.
Yeah, remember we went on a 5-game losing streak at one point. I'm looking at it now. Like we struggled. We lost a lot of our like Embiid and Tobias. They both was out at the exact same time. So I will go for B, A minus, B plus, A minus, because despite all that, we in fifth place.
Yeah,
and our trajectory is going up.
And Miami is the one. Ain't Miami in fourth? Wasn't that the team that we
Miami's
just
in
beat?
fourth.
Now we a game and a half behind them.
And now Durant got hurt. He sprained his knee tonight, so he may miss a few games. So we might be able to catch them a little bit. And then
yeah, I could go with the B plus. See, I was leaning more toward the B plus, but I didn't want to come off sounding like a homer. Plus, you know what I'm saying? But I do think that, I mean, to be where they are with the struggles that they've had, like even with Tobias not playing, you had Ben Simmons not playing this season, with the Tobias up and down with the COVID situation, with all that. I mean, the Sixers showing a lot of resiliency. Yep. And then, you know what? I wanted to bring up something that I keep a close eye on this, right? Embiid looked like he's showing some growth to me. And what I'm saying is, remember how, and of course Embiid's not Mike, but remember how Mike used to come out and like in the first half, it was like, he was like kind of like going through the motions, let everybody else get off and everything else. And then in the second half, the killer came out.
Yeah.
And lately it seems like the kind of lackluster in the first half of the games, like, you know what I mean, being a little bit more passive of this, that, and other. And then it's like and I think that's why we see a little bit more energy from Embiid. Doesn't look as tired in the fourth. I think in previous years and games, Embiid would come out trying to prove a point so much early on, like what's his name said, Capella said, wear him down, he'll be tired by the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so he learned. You know what? I never thought about that, but you might be on to something. B might be just pacing himself for the second half. Like, all right, I'm gonna let the young boys, I'm gonna let everybody, let Maxey get his thing. Then I'll be your fourth quarter. Like Moses Malone. Like you want me in the fourth? That's when I'm gonna be there for you. Well, I'm looking at the standings now. They literally got us at 2.5 games out of first place. We 2.5 games, and we'll be right there. I mean, Cleveland is right there with us, but
Cleveland been balling.
Yeah, they 26-18, and we 25-17. But we only 2.5 games out of the first place in the East, so things are looking good. We just beat Miami, and then Monday we got Washington. So,
yeah, we need to stomp a mud hole in Washington. I need Washington to go in the tank so they want to let Bradley Beal get out of there.
I need
Bradley Beal on this team.
I want Atlanta to stay down. I don't like Atlanta. They destroyed our team. They got rid of Ben. Ben still would be here if it wasn't for that Atlanta team. So I don't want nothing to do with Atlanta right now.
Hey, listen, y'all right about this team still maintained without Embiid when they had Ben Simmons. But that's why last year I kept saying I felt Ben Simmons was the second best player on this team. I mean, that was a debate and an argument that was being made time and time again. And that's even more of a testament to how good Embiid is now. Even without him, his team is balling when he plays.
And I told y'all last week, I said Joel Embiid is the MVP. Y'all was naming all these other Bulls, and now Barkley and I'm coming out saying the best player who's been balling is Joel Embiid. Nobody's looking at him. I called it earlier. That was my pick. Y'all was picking everybody else, and I told y'all Joel Embiid is the MVP of the league.
And somebody mentioned it earlier too. My bad. I meant to shout you out when I saw it. I ain't scrolling back all the way back up there. But Shaq was in the building tonight.
I saw him.
I want to see what Shaq got to say about that.
Yeah.
You know, Shaq always talking that stuff. See, and this is my thing. Shaq was my favorite player in the league of all times. But Shaq was my favorite player of all time. When he played, he's my favorite player of all time until AI came in. Now AI my best, and Embiid is slowly climbing up. But Shaq is in my top 3 of all time. People that talk about Embiid is not Shaq. Embiid is not just I know he can go down there and move bodies. First of all, this NBA is not that NBA. Like they was even saying in the Miami thing, they were saying about Drummond, how Drummond was an all-star player a couple times in Detroit. When he was drafted, he was that big body, move people around, scoring down low. But the league has gone away from that. So now he has to find his niche and being that role player, you know, that come in and do that in spots. So that I'm saying that to say Embiid's mid-range game and his taking people off the dribble is spectacular, bro. That's what makes him special. So the people that get mad at him, like, oh, I just want him to be down here pounding all day. Like, that's not what you don't need him to do that. Like the fact that when he brings the ball all the way up court and he takes those big men off the dribble, like how he took the ball off the dribble into the pump fake, turn around, layup. Like that's crazy for a 7-footer to do that.
And it's too taxing on the body of anybody. That's because you're big. It's not fair for you to always be done. And I had to learn, I had to stop hating on him a little bit because I kept saying, get your behind back down the post. But when you really think about it, I want him to be playing strong the way he's playing down in January, November. I want him to be that same way come June, April, May, June. The only way that's going to happen is if he's still fresh. And eventually that wear and tear does play a role. It wears you down. So, I mean, I had to stop. I had to catch myself a few times because I was trying to say, yo, B, stop. But then he's hitting shots. He's more consistent at hitting. Remember 2 years ago?
Remember that last year, that's what he was, and that was the problem coming in this year. And we was talking about it could be the basketball. I thought it was more that than just him getting foul calls. I thought his shot was just off early in the season.
But I remember 2 years ago when they lost, he said, well, he knew what he had to do. He said he has to take more jump shots. He said, my percentage may go down, but it's going to help me in the long run. And everybody was like, no, you got to keep getting low. You just got to get healthy and everything. But he said, in order for me to be better, I got to develop my outside shot. And I think we're seeing this now. I think this is what we're seeing.
Remember how everybody used to be mad at Dirk? Like, Dirk need to go to the basket. He's soft. He just shoot. Yeah. But if you hitting that shot and can't nobody touch it, why run in there to get beat up?
Ain't nobody blocking it. And if you try to come out there, then you're going down. He could take it down low and dunk.
And if they run out there to him, first, it's funny because his pump fake is one of the slowest pump fakes ever. But they got to respect because his jump shot is like slow and deliberate like that. But if you don't contest it, it's good. And if you do jump out, he's quick enough. He's not fast, but he's quick enough and he's agile enough that he can go past you and get a finish.
Somebody said that Ben has to come. If Ben can come back, he just got to apologize to the city. Would that be acceptable for y'all if Ben came back and just apologized? Were y'all accepting?
And listen, I put it this way: I just want to win. If Ben Simmons can come back and hit, first of all this time he better be able to hit a free throw.
He better.
You know what I'm saying? He ain't did nothing for like a year. If he come back and he still can't even shoot 70% from free throw,
then I don't know. I'm booing.
but that being said, if Ben Simmons came back and was going to be on this team and the team all right with it and the chemistry, I'm fine with it. I just want to win. I don't have a personal agenda when it comes to players like that. Even if it's somebody I think is trash or doing this, that, and the other, I want my team to win.
Yeah.
I mean, the same way I couldn't stand Brett Brown, but when we had that Sixers team with Jimmy and Toby and all them, I wanted to win. I wanted to win games. Even though it would have meant that Brett would have been here longer, I still would rather win than lose. As a fan, I want I like when the whole area is when your team's winning, everything is flowing. Like if
everybody is nice, violence is down. If the Eagles
win tomorrow, the whole week is going to be lit out here.
Less carjackings, everything. Everybody just but
people get bigger tips when they go to the restaurants. Yeah, I mean,
here's the thing with Ben. Like, if they decide to trade Ben for Harden, when everybody keeps saying everybody keep hearing Ben for Harden, but what Morey would try to do is do like a 3-team trade where Ben may not go to Brooklyn, he may go somewhere else, but Harden is routed to us. So that's how we would get Harden in here because everybody keeps saying. Brooklyn don't want Ben. They probably don't want Ben. But if you add a third team, a third or fourth team, you still might get your man, and we can get him under the salary cap, so we won't be over the salary cap. So that's what.
Let's not get it twisted. I'm not begging Ben Simmons to come back. Tim asked a hypothetical question: if Ben was to come back, I don't see him doing it because I agree. Somebody just said. He's not going to apologize. Ben doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. Ben feels he's justified. He feels he's justified and he's proven his point. So he's not, and that's my issue with him. Now, see, if he was to change up and change his stance, that would show some growth to me. But that being said, I still want to see that free throw up.
Yeah.
because you cannot have that kind of meltdown again. And I was fine with the way Ben Simmons played up until he started bricking them free throws and got scared to touch the ball. Up until then, I thought he was having a decent to good playoffs.
But he's been in therapy. He's doing well.
All right.
He's about to get married, so he probably have a baby coming and everything. So life is good for him. He's winning. I'll tell you one thing: if he get traded to Sacramento, he really be winning because he be on the West Coast.
Hey, Reed, guess what? We don't win with Simmons. We get bounced second round every year. Well, guess what? When we didn't have Ben, we got bounced the first round.
Exactly.
When Embiid was by himself. So, and I'm not saying Ben's the savior to be all end all because that's Embiid for this team. But that being said, I'm not going to put all this on Ben and saying like Ben would be the answer to all our problems. Ben still needs to improve on certain things. And my thing is he's been out all this time. He should have been working on his art. What Dragonfly Jones said, you should be working on your art. You know what I'm saying? Instead of sitting there posting up on Instagram and making these fake visitations to therapists. He should be in the gym just grinding, working on everything he can. But I sincerely doubt that he is.
I think he is because he's still getting paid by the Sixers. In order for him to get paid by the Sixers, he got to comply. And those doctors have to report that he's been like meeting and everything. So he's working on it. It's just that he just is so prideful. He's so prideful. Like when you like that, the more pride you have, the harder you're gonna fall. Like just swallow your pride, show some humility, and just work at your craft. That's all we want you to do. It's not like we're asking to do anything. We're just saying work at your craft. Because once you work at your craft, the more you practice at anything, the better you're going to get. When you don't practice as much, this is what happens. That you're not confident in your shot. You're not confident in the work that you're putting in.
And see, this is the problem. Hey, man, you're right. Embiid was different back then. I honestly think Embiid's mindset changed from that Toronto game. When that ball bounced around and he lost, I think every year that Embiid loses or go, I think he feels like he got to go back to the lab and work. I think most players in the league most good players in the league do that. I don't think Ben Simmons does. I feel as though Ben Simmons goes back, and I felt this when he first got drafted. I remember I used to talk to my homie, he's a big Ben Simmons fan early on. And my whole thing was when Ben Simmons first played in his rookie year, he was out for a whole year. And Embiid was out for the whole first year. He was out. But when he came back, his shot was a whole lot better. And he was hitting. Ben Simmons was out for his whole first season and didn't improve on nothing. And then when he came back, he was working on finishing all the time, like dunks and this, that, and other. And I'm like, and somebody was trying to justify it to me at the time. They was like, well, that's what he does well. So he just want to be the best at doing that. And he still ain't. But that being said, I'm like, no, how about you just work on your free throw? I swear, if Ben Simmons just worked on his free throw, if he got a 75% free throw, I would guarantee Ben Simmons will be twice as better as a player. Because it goes to like what you said about him being scared and the mental part. People who can shoot a decent rate at free throw look for contact. They're not running from it. They attacking because they like, foul me, give me free money. But because he can't shoot him, he's scared for the contact.
Jamar Oliver, I agree. B ain't off the hook. B had 8 turnovers in that. And I always say that B had 8 turnovers in that game, and Thibault ended the game twice with fouling on 3-point plays. So
however, what I will say is if your point guard is handling the ball, then your center don't have to. And I think that accounted for a lot of Embiid's turnovers. You don't need Embiid handling the ball all the time like that.
But Embiid handles the ball a lot still, but he's not turning the ball over like he was last year.
Yeah, because now he has to, and he's prepared for it because he knew his point guard wasn't coming.
He should have prepared last year.
But in the midst of that, why should he be prepared to play point center? You got a point guard, you got an all-star point guard on your team whose job was facilitating and setting everybody up because he wasn't a scorer like that. And I thought I still think Ben was excellent for this team for getting other guys open shots. I still think that is great value for what Ben did. That being said, if you're not even handling the ball as a point guard, you're useless. If you're not a scorer, you're not scoring this, that, and other. You're useless if you're not going to bring the ball up court and you shine away from the ball on offense.
Herb, I agree, though. Sad truth, Ben is working on his game for another team. Other team is going to benefit.
He ain't working on his game. When the last time you see the Ben Simmons video, other than him with the girl standing outside somewhere?
No, he's at practice. He's practicing. I mean, he's not. The only thing he's doing is practicing. So
he practicing what?
Free throw shooting, running drills, doing he's doing everything. He's there. watching video. He's doing all those things. The only thing he's not doing is playing actual games.
He probably sitting in there talking to the therapist while everybody playing around and stuff like that. That's what he's doing. He's sitting there talking to the therapist.
See, Embiid ain't turning around. He just said, Jamar said, Embiid ain't turning the ball over trying to initiate offense. He was just making bad decisions. Exactly.
No, listen, I'm not even just saying that he had to initiate it. But if you have a whole spot on the floor where your man is running from the ball and he's being double teamed, where's the outlet to throw it to? And he's your, I don't care what you say. Ben Simmons cost us that series.
Nah.
Before Ben Simmons, and I'm from game 4 on, I'm putting on Ben. Because once they started having Ben, he turtled up. But for that, I was cool with the 2 points. I was cool with the 2-point game that he had in the second game because he was putting the clamps on Trey. I didn't rip him for that. He had 18 in one of them games. He had 17 in one of them games. But after they started hacking him, all of a sudden he was getting 7 points a game, 8 points a game, and running from the ball in the fourth. He's your point guard. He had no shot attempts in the fourth quarters.
So Tobias was scoring 4 points. That wasn't a reason why we lost.
It was a part of it, but Ben Simmons was the number 2 player on this team to me, and I guess I expected more from Ben Simmons. I guess y'all was cool with what he did. I expected more from Ben. I expected Ben to be the superstar, Ben to be the star. That's what I've always expected from the Sixers, and Ben didn't play like that in the playoffs. No, I ain't gonna say the playoffs. He didn't play like that the last 3 games of that series.
And so Tobias, that's what you need. Tobias, you need Joel Embiid, and you need other boys to step up.
Joel Embiid did, and so did Seth Curry. Seth Curry scored like 30 points.
Nah.
I mean, he got lit some too, but
that's it.
At least he's giving you something on one side of the ball.
But Seth was, what Seth was doing. Seth was scoring 17 and giving up 30. That was.
No,
Seth.
He wasn't. No, he was not.
He was scoring 17 points. He was giving up Bogdanovich. I think that he was on there scoring at will. The other guy, it was another bull that was just killing us offensively. Then you had Trey. Trey was getting locked down by Ben. Ben was doing the job on Trey, but everybody else was getting off. So even when Ben was struggling, he still was doing something great. We were like, you know what?
No, listen, I'm agreeing with y'all. This is why I put the blame on Ben, because like you said, even when he was struggling, like I'm not blaming Ben for not shooting none of that up stuff. He ran from the ball. You're a point guard. You can't run from the ball. You're the primary ball handler.
I don't think he ran from the ball. I just think we were expecting more offensively from Ben, and Ben was like, "This is who I am. I'm giving you. This is me. I'm gonna be a great defender. I'm gonna lock down my opponent, but I'm not. If you're looking for me to score 20 and 30 points a game, that's just not what I do." And William, I could agree with that completely. William Conaway said 60% of the blame on Ben, 20 on Doc, 15 Tobias, 5 on Joel. I can agree with that. Nah, if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna put 20% on Ben,
40%
on Embiid, 40 go to B.
Now the real Tim comes out.
All right, yeah, I'm just doing our numbers. I'm blaming everything on Doc. Like, no.
No, but that's why. Listen, all season last season, I was having argument. People was calling me and Tim the Ben apologist and everything else. I felt like I was cool with what Ben Simmons gave us during the regular season. I didn't need Ben Simmons to score 17. Would I like it? Yes. But I didn't need Ben Simmons scoring 17, 10 and 10 in order for me to think. Some people felt like he should have been scoring over 20 points. I didn't need that from him. But if he, as long as he had his turnovers down, and my main thing with him was hitting his free throws, because I felt that would make everything better. But even in his playoff series, he was getting the assists. Ben Simmons was leading the league and get an assist on 3-pointers, because no matter what you say, even though he couldn't shoot, when he drove to the basket, they paid attention to him and they would collapse down in there. People want to say that nobody worried about guarding Ben. They just stood off of him. You can't just stay off of him because he is athletic enough to drive in there. So they did pay attention to it, and Ben was good at kicking it out to the open 3-point shooters. And that's why Seth was getting all them baskets, why Danny was leading the league in corner threes and all that.
Yeah.
That was attributed to Ben and what he was doing all season.
And
that being said,
Tobias looks different this year.
That being said, when you start doing the hacker bend and he turtles up and doesn't even attempt to bring the ball up because he was afraid to get touched, that kills the whole flow of the team because he was an integral part of that team. I mean, that's why I give most of the blame on him. And let's get it straight real quick, Tim. Let's get it straight. All season long, Ben Simmons was their only answer at point guard. Because remember how whenever Ben Simmons came out the game, all of a sudden the bench we ain't handle. That's why we were so desperate and went and got George Hill because nobody else could handle. Maxey couldn't handle the point. You know, he was a young boy then. Shake couldn't handle it. We had nobody else to handle the point guard. Yep. And when Ben Simmons came out, we totally collapsed with turnovers and stuff like that. Yep. So I do see the value that Ben Simmons brought. But in that playoff series, those last couple games, once they started doing the hack of Ben, he turtled up and ran from it.
What we learned is Tobias too, but Thibault got to hit those free throws. When Ben gave up that dunk, if Thibault just hit those free throws, everything be cool. That was 2 points.
No,
Thibault missed
the 2 points was Ben Simmons dunking on Trey. He made a beautiful move to the back.
Thibault still should have hit those free throws.
Bro.
Notice Thibault don't.
Bro. So what makes you okay? How about this? Even if Ben Simmons would have got fouled, then he would have been on the line. You think he would have made both of them or one of them? Well, Ben don't. That's why he passed it because he made a beautiful play on Gallinari in the post. He got the ball. He spun on Gallinari. It was set up, and I think that's why everybody ate that play so much because it was set up to be beautiful. It was set up to be beautiful. It was a drop spin. He was right there at the basket, the kind of basket big men that could dunk dream of. Just take it back and on Trae Young, and he's like.
But his mind think passed so much that he was like, all right, let me give a nice dunk to
his mind think I don't want to get fouled so much. That's what his mind was thinking.
All right. Well, listen, this was a great show. It was a great win. The Sixers, they go into Miami and they beat them 109-98. So I have nothing to say negative about anything. We will be back on Monday when we are on the Wizards. We're going to DC to face the Wizards. We also be back tomorrow, Eagles, Tampa. Did you change your thought? You still pulling out the win tomorrow? You think we can do it?
I think it's a chance for. I think it's a better chance for them to beat them than it would have been to beat. What's the name? Either the what's the other squad? The Rams, because I think the Rams defense is better and tougher, more skilled position. It's going to be. It's going to need to be. We're going to have some passing in this game.
Oh, he got to pass the ball.
Yeah, we're going to have some passing. So I think if we pull off the win, I think it's going to probably be because Jalen Hurts had a decent game.
All right, everybody. Please tell us what you think. Leave a comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification button. We'll see y'all on our next podcast tomorrow after the game. We out.
Peace.